Are we live? Good day and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And we are live. 23 September 2021, Cape Town, Gauteng, South Africa, global. Welcome. It is Percy Temane's book launch, aka Prince.J the Bard. But before we go in, we're just gonna wait for everyone to come in. Give them about 3 minutes. All right? All good? Ooh, people are already starting to comment. Rea Maputa is saying, congratulations. Yes, friend. I'm here for this titan. Wonga Nyombola is saying, successful journalists, we are out here. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. And then Nikelo Mbambo is saying, I'm here and I'm waiting, looking forward to it. Hopefully I can be back home in time. Hopefully you are at home in time. Come on, my friend, come on. Mervyn McCoy is saying, let's go. Let's go, Manier. Let's go, sir. Chapters and captions with Kelly Paloy is saying, this is exciting. Well done, Percy. Amazing stuff. That's the stuff we want to hear. Rondro is excited as well, saying whoop whoop. All right, everyone, come on in. Everyone is welcome. Just gonna give everyone 3 minutes to come in, settle in, and then we'll get started. Pilani Zoni, welcome, sir. Let's go. Definitely, let's go. Jolene Kakora, welcome. Jolene is saying the day is finally here. Definitely. Hope you guys excited. Percy, are you excited? One minute, guys, and then we can begin. People already want the audiobook. Wow, guys. It's coming as well. All right, just a couple of seconds, 10 seconds, and then we begin. Definitely, Jolene. This is the start of many more book launches. I like that. All right, let's go, ladies and gents. Good day and welcome, everyone. My name is Lonwabo Machele. I am the founder and CEO of Successful Journals, a digital wealth magazine, business talk show, and a media consulting agency. Today we are with Percy Temane. We are doing his book launch titled Confessions by Prince.J the Bard. I know I won't live forever. With that in mind, my only hope is that one day I will be in the company of the greats who picked up their pens before me. Should the sun set on my time on this earth, I praise that one day my work be placed in the echelons of poetry alongside those whose work I grew up studying. so that one day it will be taught and the next generation that may learn something from it. Should the sun set and a band come across the river Jordan to return to God, the soul he so graciously lent to the earth housed in my body, remember me not only as gifted writer, but as someone who used a God-given talent in an attempt to make the world a better place. Should the sun set on me, remember my words as my image with time becomes a distant memory. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the author behind those words, Percy Tebe Teman. Welcome, sir.
What's up, man? Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. You actually did the whole full name, surname as per government ID.
Definitely have to. People have to know who Prince.J the Bud is. This is something amazing, truly inspiring.
Yeah, man. It really is a. It's been a journey to get to this point, and honestly, the piece that you opened with from the book, I was listening attentively because it's one of those pieces where even I look back and it's like, did I really write this? Because the way I see it is like some of the pieces I am like the pen is to me, I am to my creator in a certain extent.
Mm. How do you feel when you hear your words echo from someone else?
Hey man, it's a surreal feeling to be honest. It's amazing, but it's also one of those we finally hear moments. And as we go deeper into the interview, we'll actually expose how we got to where we are today, the whole backstory
Yeah,
behind it. But I can honestly
definitely.
say I'm happy, I'm proud of myself, and
Definitely,
man, I'm blessed.
definitely. Love the sound of that, and truly you are blessed. And thank you very much for this opportunity as well. I mean, Percy, you are doing amazing stuff, man. You are not just a poet; you are a storyteller, you are an author, you are an entrepreneur. You're just doing amazing stuff. Just for us as an audience, as people that want to know more about who you are, just break it down to us more about Percy Taman as well as you as a person.
Okay, no, gladly, man. As a person, would have to go a bit far back, man, because I currently reside in Centurion, but my hometown is in the northwest, man. Freiburg, that is where I'm from. It's where I was born. It's where my family is. So you can never forget. The way I see life is that you can never forget where you're from, no matter where you're going. You must always remember where home is. It's a kind of way that I'm able to actually anchor myself and keep myself humble. And then as a person, I'm a unique person. That's the best way I can put it because I like my space to kind of reflect and sit down and actually think about things and go in depth with them. But sometimes my life can also turn out to be a movie, man. It's good to actually have fun with friends from time to time. That always leads to other things happening, but we move, man. We do these things. So I love my alone time, but I love hanging out with friends, having a good time. And sports, man. I am not separate from the sports, be it the distance running, basketball, soccer. It is a part of me, man. Weekends when I'm with my cousins, we still do play soccer in the streets. It's a part of where I am.
Amazing, amazing. And in your location, do they know that you are a writer? Do they know that Prince.J the Bard is right there?
Well, there's a few who know, mostly those who actually went to school with me because they got to see the birth of the bard, if I can put it that way. But then there's others who are still observing and finally actually seeing that, okay, the bard is actually doing something. Percy is not just the guy we see when we're with him, but he actually does take his writing seriously because it is a part of him. Without the writing, my life won't be the same. And to me, the writing is a part of my life and a key point at that.
Now, I've read a number of poems. I've read a number of poems in my time, and I have to say that the poem that I just read earlier now, Set, is one that stands out, not just on the delivery of it, but your words in it saying that you want to be amongst the greats um, in that echelon. Take us through your writing process.
Okay, with this specific one, I'll start with this specific one before I get into my general writing process. This one came to being after a day where I actually reflected and allowed everything to actually sink in. Because what I do is that I've been told by various teachers throughout high school, even university, a few lecturers, a few peers have told me like they see me not behind the people who came before me, but some have said shoulder to shoulder. And for me, that is a great compliment. It is a great accolade to have. So I was pondering all of these comments and comparisons and praise when I actually sat and realized that the same way all those who came before me are remembered, I too want to be remembered in the sense that when I'm gone, my words must be around for people to be like, I want to do what he did, or even better, because that's what I've done. That's what I'm doing. I've studied Shakespeare's work. I've studied Martin Luther King's writing. I've studied Malcolm X's writing. I've studied even Rudy Francisco, a newer guy. I've studied his writing. So my writing style would not be classified as the typical writing style of a poet. But I've been so exposed to the various forms of literature that I incorporate free verse in such a way that it conveys a message, not just to the reader, but when I write, and even more so when I perform, my intention is not just to entertain. I intend to communicate with your soul. Because the way I see it, poetry is like music. It's not just about a feel good moment, but it's about a connection that is beyond what only we can see. So, my general writing process, to sum it up, is a combination of reflection, observation, telling a story from both experience, also making use of my ability to empathize and sympathize with people, and then putting it all together in my writing.
Really inspiring. And I mean, you mentioned some not just poetic but influential greats amongst our times, or that have walked before us, the likes of Shakespeare, the likes of Martin Luther King. This is truly amazing. Just taking from each of them and adding towards your existential writing, as well as what you want to leave behind, is truly inspiring. All right, Percy, I see a lot of people are coming in right now, and a lot of people are shouting out, Freiburg, whoop whoop. The master chef then cooked up the first of many. Oh, wow.
These
That's
people are
coming
exposing
from.
my nicknames here, but it's all good. We move.
That is coming from Teboho, and the previous one was from Nundubiso Bengu. A lot of people are excited about your work. This is profoundly the first of many. Now, take us through the journey of how you put all together the poems inside Confessions.
Okay. Confessions, as it is now and as it is presented to the world, is not what I initially thought of. The initial concept behind the book and its title is not what we have today. Initially, I wanted to delve into the old way, and what a way that I still resonate with writing, in the sense that quite a few poets of old used poetry in terms of speaking regarding romance and love and that concept. So initially, I wanted it to be called Confessions of a Romantic, in which I give a complete collection that depicts and displays a journey of love from every angle: the ups, the downs, the hurt, the pain, the betrayals, everything that goes into a story of love that you find in a novel, but to do it through poetry. And then what eventually happened is, as I sat with the initial compilation, I realized that That is a good concept, but it's not really how I want to introduce myself to the world. Because as an individual, as a poet, and as a writer, my writing style is so diverse that I don't only write poetry, I dabble in short stories, I write speeches, I write essays. And to bring confessions together, I now had to go back in time to my high school years because that is where the bard first picked up his pen. So now I had to be scrounging around my house looking for those old notebooks, notepads, and journals because back then I didn't really use my phone to write. I was still pen and paper. I had to find all of those and then bring it all together with a bit of the new stuff. And this is stuff that came about in varsity, where now you meet different people, you engage in different environments, different events. And I did grace a stage or two in varsity. So some of the new stuff was from there. And then the further we go into putting it all together, we now end up in the church. Because, as I said earlier, as far as I see it, poetry is like music. It is a spiritual thing. It is also a form of worship. So some random Sundays, I'd be in church and then something would come to me and I'd take out my phone. I'd start now writing it down on my phone. And when I went through everything, the Word documents, the notepads, the stuff on my phone, I realized what I want the reader to see in this introduction is my journey as a writer, as a poet, and as an author, depicting the growth to where we are today, to where we have confessions. Because I will not lie, some of the stuff in it is from high school, but I still look back at it so fondly because even in that, the talent, the technique is visible. And then the further along you go into confessions, you begin to actually understand how a journey through written word can actually be a form of relaxation.
Amazing, truly inspiring. That's amazing. I mean, just in high school alone, that's a different perspective. In varsity alone, as you mentioned, there's a different perspective, and then intertwining all of that with church as well. That's growth all in all. But just let's go a couple of years back to varsity, back to the boombox. All right, take us through that different time and era and how
Okay,
it
so
all
we're
began.
going back to university. We're going back
In
there.
to high school in
Oh,
particular,
high
yes.
school. Okay, no, we're going back to the beginning. Okay, I see what you're doing. Ah, man, the beginning. To give a true reflection and a true account, I would have to first take you back to primary school and then get to high school. Because, and yes, I'm gonna expose my age, but I'm gonna take you back to the beginning, before the beginning. Those of you who watch Lion King, yes, I'm that old. But high school, I started my journey with poetry in the poetry at Stedford. We did the choral verse as a class. And then from there, I was signaled out and said, okay, now we want you to do the individual poetry at Stedford. And that was where I can best describe the incubation process of the Bard began. When I was reciting the words of famous poets and I got my certificates, my diplomas in the Stedford competition. When I got to high school, I was blessed enough to meet a lot of teachers, but to this day, this specific teacher still, her and her husband played such a pivotal role in me being where I am today because they are the ones who saw in me what I had not yet identified, and that was my ability to write. So they then, this is Mr. and Mrs. Donga. Those are the two English teachers who to this day I still hold to such a high regard because when we were doing prepared speeches in class, they saw something different in me. I mean, back then I didn't know what rhetoric was, but it was Ma'am Donga who said to me, in your writing and in your speaking, I'm picking up a hint of rhetoric. So me being me, I'm like, yes, ma'am, thank you. I'm trying to go out, trying to leave the class because next period and all of that. But I gave her the time of day because she sacrificed her time to actually enlighten me and explain to me. So that was where I first picked up the pen because she said to me and explained to me what rhetoric was. So then, obviously, me being the person that I am, I like to research. So when I left her classroom, I now went in to research the meaning of the word rhetoric and how it's used. And that is where now we were beginning to near the end of the incubation process. And when the bard was finally born, was the night that Break Free was written. That was when the water broke. But the bard was fully born when Break Free was performed in that hall in my high school. And since that day, I've held on to the pen and I've kept running with it.
That's truly amazing. Now, Percy, thank you for sharing that, and that's very emotional and touching. And I see it also touched a couple of people in the comments as well. Sipindile Nkosi says that seeing you grow in high school was so cool, especially because we spoke about your dreams. That also leads us to our next question for you, Percy, in particular. Um, what is your goal with the pen?
My goal with the pen is actually to change a few lives in the sense that I want to do for others what my teacher did for me because it's not always easy to discover a talent and to actually nurture it. And this also goes back to high school because when I performed Break Free, afterwards, quite a few students, be they grade 8, actually came to me and said, that was a nice piece. And then afterwards, again, I got others coming to me like, I actually still write. One of them, who I'm still in contact with, is considered my adopted little sister. So she and a few other friends came like, we actually also write poetry. Can you coach us? Can you train us? And I jumped at the opportunity because I want others to expose their talent, to nurture it, to grow it. Because for me, it would be very sad if something you were blessed with doesn't actually materialize before you return to the ground. So, my main purpose with the pen as a whole is actually to show others that there is so much power in the written word because the written word has the power to do various things, some of which is to heal, some of which is to hurt, depending on the tone of voice used. But what I want young people to take away from this is that if you've got a gift for writing, be it music, poetry, whatever it is, short stories, novels, never let anyone tell you that you can't do something. When people doubt you, keep writing. You keep writing, be it raps, you keep writing. Because in time, your journey will come to a point where you have got so much that you can actually expose to people. Because I know from high school, going through to university, and the people I'm still in contact with, there are quite a few writers in the country, there are quite a few writers around. But like me, they tend to stay in the shadows because the light isn't really shone on us as writers. It happens to be there once in a while if you're on stage at university. Oh, they recognize you, they know you, you make a name for yourself. But the light isn't always that bright on those of us who do something different from what society has referred to as the norm.
That's true, especially in the day and age that we live in. We know the history of our country, of our continent, and we know that when it comes to writing the history and creating the future, we do all of that in the present. And what you said about the young kids that look up to you and that you are helping to become writers and poets, it's something that's very much needed, especially in our time and our age, because the history is written by the victors. The history is written by those that are living right now, and what we can learn from the previous writers, the likes of Solomon Mahlangu, the likes of Shakespeare, the likes of you in this matter, Percy Demane, is that you all have something that is needed in the world, and how you share it with the next person and what they do with it, and to use it to share with another person is truly inspirational. And I think this is truly amazing. Just keep up the good work, firstly and foremost, and ungadinwa, as we say in Xhosa. So don't get tired, you know. Yeah. Just before we move on, we are going to take a couple of questions from the crowd. If anyone has a question, please do post it in the comments, and then we can share it with Percy. He's here, and he will answer your questions. And if you need like a tip or a hint on writing, drop your question. We are here, and we will be able to answer you. All right, Percy, just
Lobs, just before we get to the questions,
yeah.
I would just like to say something on that point. I will not get tired for the mere fact that in university, with all those assignments happening, there were moments when I tried to actually walk away from the pen because, you know, when inspiration hits, I just have to do it. But even when assignments were piling on, man, the pen kept calling me and I couldn't let it go. So don't you worry about that. I'm definitely going to keep writing.
Fantastic, fantastic, amazing stuff,
I'm
and we
definitely
need
going to
that.
keep writing.
We need
And
that.
maybe
All
I
right.
can bless the audience with a piece or two while we're here, while people are thinking about questions.
Fantastic. All right. While we're thinking about questions in the comments, Percy, please do bless us with one of your poems.
Gladly, brother. Just give me a second to see which one I'm giving you guys tonight. Okay, I'm going to read a piece that a friend of mine actually saw before it ended in the book, but she didn't see the finished piece. I finally took her advice just before publishing the book and finished it. This one is titled Dinner. I sat across the table from Cupid. I took the opportunity to ask him why love rarely seems to last anymore. His response sent me on a mental trip back in time. He told me that these days people are less concerned about protecting the heart, since society has created a market wherein money is able to buy some sort of love. As we waited for dinner to be served, I picked up my notepad and pen and started making notes. A melody echoed throughout the room as Cupid's words escaped his mouth like a symphony played on the finest piano keys, which began unlocking my mind. He spoke of a time when love was so pure, it was like oxygen to man and woman. My greatest surprise came when dinner was finally served. The lady who served us looked strange yet familiar. She was well matured, with what looked to be battle scars that hadn't fully healed. When she had left the room, Cupid told me that I had just seen love.
If I had a wine, I would toast to that.
Ah, that makes
I
two of
would
us, brother. You know, wine and poetry go well together.
definitely, definitely shine, 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 shine. All right. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Yes, so we do have a couple of questions from the crowd, and we are going to start with Jolene Kakora. Jolene is asking, if you had to describe the power of the pen, how would you describe it? That is our first question.
Okay, if I had to describe the power of the pen, how would I describe it? This is interesting because Jolene and I have actually had quite a few discussions around this topic. Um, no, I feel like the power of the pen is it boils down to the concept of the pen is mightier than the sword. And I know most people say you need to know, or some people say you need to know when to put down the pen and pick up the sword. But the way I see it, the pen fights battles long before the sword is actually picked up. Because when you write something or when you sign something, there is a transfer of emotion that actually takes place. So the pen is powerful to an extent where I would say it can change the world if the right people receive what is written. That is the way I see the power of the pen. It is powerful enough to change the world.
Amazing. And I agree. I mean, we live in a country that is ruled by law. It started with a pen.
True that.
All right, we do have another question by whoever youth in Kiam. That's an interesting name. All right, the question is, besides impacting the lives of others, how do you see your vision impacting South African literature? Because honestly, our material is marginalized. Ramos. So yeah, that is the question. How would you say it will impact South African literature?
To answer that, I would like to actually refer to a title by Steve Biko. His book was titled I Write What I Like. With Confessions, what I aim to do, not just with this book, but with all the ones that will follow, is to break down the doors, not open them. I'm intending to break down the doors in such a way that everyone else who writes can see that your freedom as an artist allows you to speak your mind. Because what I write is relatable for some people, but what someone else writes may be relatable to someone else, but another person might find it offensive or unacceptable. Now, there's a fine line when it comes to writing, especially literature, between entertainment and just being one-sided regarding trying to attack a certain group or a certain philosophy or whatever, which is acceptable in the writing world because unless someone actually unpacks the concept or the idea or the philosophy, how then do we learn more? So, regarding the impact on South African literature, I hope and I pray that with this book and the ones that are to follow, and whatever performances I may do in the near future, I destroy the doors that make people feel that we can't write or they can't write a certain way because of who they are or where they're from. My aim is to make it the point that in South Africa, if you've got a pen, you've got a gift for telling a story, you tell your story the way it is meant to be told, the way it is being written throughout your life. Because we never know who we are inspiring, we never know who's looking up to us. So, the change I want to do is to remove the very margins that restrict us so that I'm not the first and I'm not the last, but we create a relay of writers who keep coming to redefine the art form and the act of writing and the concept and the act and the art that is literature.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Shine on that, shine, shine, shine. Um, Hopefully, whoever youth in Kiam, your question was answered there. That was truly amazing, and thank you very much for that, Percy. Right, going back to confessions, which is your favorite poem in the book?
Let me think, let me think. Which is my favorite poem in the book? See, now this is a very difficult question, man. But let me think. Which one would I say is actually the number one piece in this book? I would actually say it is the last one. The last one before we get to the collaboration, which is a special edition, the piece titled I Am. I would say that is my favorite piece in the book because that is where, after all the writing, after all the stories, I introduce myself to the world through the art of writing. So I think I Am would definitely be number one on my list.
Amazing stuff. I had a feeling that you were gonna choose that particular poem. I've read through the book and I somehow I knew you were gonna choose that poem. But yeah, we have more questions. We have more questions, Percy. The first one is from Juliet Kayayan. Does your faith influence your writings?
That's a definite yes on my part because earlier in the interview, I said that there are some poems that I write where I look back and read and think, did I really write this? And I can admit to myself that, yes, indeed, my faith does influence my writing because the ones that surprise me or the ones that I question, did I really write them? I feel is the Holy Spirit writing through me.
All right, poem by Percy Tamane. He says that Pila says that you just reminded him of the 2017 poetry session at Northwest University. Amazing stuff. All right, the next one is from Grayson Vermeulen. What goes through your head when you're creating that bridge with the pen in trying to create an understanding between you and your readers?
Everyone in life goes through different experiences, different problems, different situations. So when I'm writing, if I'm not just putting my feelings into the work, I observe, I read, I listen, and then I detach in the sense that I detach from my feelings, but place myself in the very situation that I'm observing, in the very situation I'm hearing about or reading about, be it anxiety, depression, whatever it may be, in such a way that I'm able to tap into whatever emotion that individual is facing, whatever problem they are facing, so that as I write, it might not be the exact thing, but from the writing, they can pick up something that says, oh, actually, someone else has been through this. Someone else is working or trying to understand what I'm going through, which means that I'm not alone in this. So there is a way forward. So, what goes through my mind at that point is in my writing, can I indeed, as I write, be the bridge for someone to cross to get to a better point?
Fantastic. All right, the next question is from Temaswati Dlamini. How important is accessibility of meaning to your work? Do you think it's important that we can solve your work?
That is a difficult question, but I like it because the accessibility of meaning, in essence, is kind of why I got confessions out when I did. For the mere fact that I've been in high school, I've been in English classes at university where we read a piece of literature or a poem or whatever, and then we are asked to identify what the poet is saying. And then it comes across that no, this is the meaning behind the poem, this is the meaning. But in my mind, the only person who knows the true meaning behind what is written, in all honesty, should be the writer. So the reason why Confessions is at this point is because for those who do not see what is taking place, what is happening in the piece they are reading. Should they have questions, I am on social media. I am available for them to actually reach out to and actually ask, okay, what was going through your mind at this point? Or this is what I picked up from this piece. Is this the true meaning? And then, do I think that it is important that they can solve my work? If you can, by all means, please do. Because as I was running through confessions, I was still having moments where I was trying to solve some of my own work, in a matter of speaking. For example, the first piece in the book, Break Free, that one I wrote in high school, but I only got the meaning behind it and what is actually happening inside it when I was putting confessions together. So, yes, it's important, but also I'd like to leave you guessing. So please don't try too hard to figure it out.
You're putting people in a guessing game now. Come on, Percy. All right. Jolene has a question as well. As a newly established poet and author, how do you keep the balance between writing what you feel and making sure that people understand the message behind the poem? I think you might have just answered that, but if you have more to add, feel free.
What I actually tend to do is that my writing structure and style is quite simple regarding the choices of words that I use. I'm not trying to confuse the readers, but I'm trying to take them along every step of the journey. So, to answer that question, I use simple English as best as I can to paint a vivid picture because I understand that sometimes simplicity is the best form of complexity, if that makes sense.
All right, amazing. All right, and for anyone that wants the print version or the ebook, please feel free to contact us. Percy will share his contact details here as well. The book is available on Successful Journals website. That is www.successfuljournals.com. As well as you can get in touch with Percy or myself on social media, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. All right, Auntie Sandra Baloy says, proud of you, Buta. Well done. All right, and
Thanks,
then
Sandra.
Cindy Sikalinga is giving a shout out as well. And then Juliet Kayayan is saying, nice. Sorry he came late. Sorry she came late. But the important thing is you are here and you are sharing this moment with us. It's a moment in history, and everyone that is here is it's a blessing to have you all here. All right, Percy, just before we go, we still have a bit more. We have a couple of poems that we'd like you to share. But just before that, there's two poems that I particularly like. One is The Pursuit of Happiness. There's a line there that you mentioned that I think it's the opening line, and it says, in the midst of the darkness, the light found me. I'm not Will Smith, but I'm in the pursuit of happiness. Wow, that took me. That took me. That's truly inspiring, man. And your use of words is something beyond this world, and it's just amazing to listen to read out as well. Because this is a poem that I could read to my younger sister, who is 12 years old, and she understood and she was laughing with me along the way. So thank you for this positive message as well from our side. And then there is another one that I think I relate to very very much today. It's called Mirror. Wow, it's a short poem. It's about a stanza long, but your use of words there is truly amazing because it's like you're speaking to someone else, and then at the end you say that the re- you you are the reflection in this situation. It's just it was a plot twist to say the least. All right, Percy, is there a poem that you would like to read for us?
I've actually got two that I think, okay, no, let me say three that I think I'll actually read for you guys.
All right.
So the first one will be for those who were with me at university as a young trip down memory lane. Since it is a Thursday, let's throw it back a bit. This one is titled Crying Out. And for those who heard it, it won't sound the same as it did the night I performed it because then I was on autopilot. I lost my words and then I had to make sure I keep the flow going, but I try to keep it as it was. Lush green trees, the aroma of fresh spring blossoms, the sound of birds singing, dangerously beautiful roses that cut the fingers of suitors trying to impress their ladies. That's what my wife used to be. Now that that's out of the way, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Father Time, and I'm here tonight to speak to you on behalf of my wife, Mother Nature. My wife, once so gorgeous that even mortals envied her, is slowly becoming a pain to look at. From dusk till dawn, like Michelangelo, she would draw the attention of passers-by. Lately, though, she brings a tear to the eye. She reeks because people have decided to dump all forms of waste on every inch of her. Her makeup has become unhappiness and her jewelry plastic bottles. Her nails rainbow colored bottle caps. This may all sound good and well, which it would be if these items were designed for her. Instead, they are thrown onto her like confetti at a wedding. Oh, how hideous my wife looks now. Her beauty has been replaced by mounds of rubbish. Her waters run dry, but even when they don't, she sees rainbows, and our children are dying. Fishing is no longer the same because even sea creatures are victims of this deformation of character. She's crying out. Sadly, her wails fall on deaf ears. Perhaps she should learn sign language, then maybe you would hear. Due to the actions of people, my wife is sick. She's literally burning up. Her temperature is through the roof. Sadly, though, her symptoms can't be cured. She is constantly crying as she is brutalized with the passing of days. Birds are falling out of the sky because they are high with noxious fumes. Rivers, streams, and lakes are drying up as she's running out of tears. She's crying out for help as people constantly assault her. The fauna and flora police can't do it on their own. Gestures of kindness, one at a time, won't reverse the damage done, but maybe each act wipes away a tear from the face of Mother Nature. The fact is, some ladies like to wear makeup from time to time to make themselves look and feel more beautiful. Just remember that before everything people put my wife through, she, Mother Nature, was the very definition of natural beauty.
Lost for words, brother. I'm lost for words. Wow. This is truly just emotional, man. Even Julieta is running out of tears. It's truly emotional. And it's wow. I'm lost for words, Percy. But thank you very much for that beautiful piece. We are living in a time where climate change is taking a lot from us, and then because we are taking a lot from the earth, we are seeing a lot of viruses breaking. We are seeing a lot of plants, indigenous plants, dying, and our animals going extinct. And I think that piece relates very much well in this day and age that we live in, it's something that's needed. It needs more ears, and I believe that with everyone that is here, they will be able to share this, that so that someone else can be able to be inspired as well. So we truly appreciate your art, your time, and your words. Thank you very much. And then, just before we close off, Percy, some words of encouragement and inspiration for young people and old and your age that look up to you.
A few words of encouragement. I would say to everyone that life is a journey. It is full of ups and downs. But what makes it different for people is how we approach it. So, to all those, be they older than me, younger than me, all I would say to you is hold on to your dreams, but don't hold on to them so tightly that you take them with you when you leave. If you do have a dream, focus to the extent that you actually achieve that dream and bring it to life. Because only you can bring to life what was placed in you before your birth. And then to fully actually emphasize the point of how important each person's dream is, I would like to share with you a poem that actually I feel encompasses that very well. And that piece is titled Chosen. Remember, remember who you are. You are a generation that has been chosen by the Almighty to do great things. I know that life can sometimes be difficult, and moments arise where you feel like your strength has run out. Well, we are only human, so that is normal. But hear me when I say this: God's strength is limitless, His reserves are bottomless. He is the giver of life and He sustains. Your current position might make you doubt that you are chosen. You need to rest your mind and remember that before you were born, before you had the opportunity to choose Him, God chose you to rise after every fall. You are chosen, though you stumble, by His grace you will stand. Where you are now might not be where God wants to use you, but remember that patience is a virtue. Make God and His Word your main course, and I can guarantee that He will never desert you. Before your beginning began, He had already worked out the floor plan of your life. God chose all of you and blessed each of you with unique gifts to be used to spread His gospel and change lives. The point that I'm trying to make is that any time on earth is the right time for God. Any time on earth is the right time for God. So what? So what if you're not making the same progress that your brother or sister who is seated next to you is making? Your time will come. All you have to do is wait on the Lord. And I know that there are days when it's hard to actually wait on the Lord. I need you to understand this. Your breakthrough is on its way. Not because I say so, but because of the God that I know. Remember, no human is the master of time, and not even time can master our God because He is timeless. You are the leaders, teachers, preachers, and motivators. One of the reasons why you feel like your life is hard is because the closer you get, the harder the enemy tries to stop you. Like Moses and King David, you too are chosen, chosen to change the world. I know not what breakthrough you need or whose lives you will change, but that doesn't matter because what I do know is this: Jehovah Jireh. We serve a God who provides. Remember, remember that you remain chosen even if your breakthrough doesn't come today.
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Wow. This is truly amazing. And we've come to the conclusion. bit of an emotional conclusion, but truly inspirational and wise words that a lot of people wanted to hear and needed to hear. Percy Temane, thank you very much. From Cape Town to Gauteng to PE to all around the world, to everyone that's watching, that's tuned in, that's contributed. We are saying thank you very much from our side. Percy, any last words you would like to add before we close off?
I just want to thank everyone for actually coming out and being a part of this next chapter of my life. And a very special thank you goes out to my parents, my family, my friends, like those who actually came across my path and played their own individual roles in getting me to this point. And of course, I have to thank God because this in its own right is a blessing, one that I'm very grateful for. And it would be unfair for me to actually have this launch and this interview end without saying a very special thank you to both Mr. and Mrs. Donga because I say it again, without the two of you, who knows when I would have discovered the ability that I have to write and actually picked up this pen. And then to Brother Ben as well, who is a motivator in his own right. He might not know it, but he also had his role to play in making sure that I keep pushing and keep on going. So, to all my friends as well, a very special thank you to you guys as well. You also made this a very special journey, not just the book launch, but the moments we shared together. It's priceless.
Amazing. And I believe that Mr. and Mrs. Donga got in touch with you earlier today. Is that correct?
Ma'am Donga did get in touch with me, yes.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome stuff. Lord works in mysterious ways, brother. All right. We love you, Percy. Woo woo. Juliet. All right, fantastic. Percy Temane, from my side, Lono Machele, Dlamini Zizu Jamras Jadu Fagati Boy. Like to say thank you very much for this opportunity as well. From Successful Journals, we truly appreciate it. From Kelly Paloi Consulting, we say thank you very much and all the best. We look forward to many, many more.
Thank you, Lobs, and Successful Journals. Thank you as well to Kelly Beloy Consulting. You guys have been an amazing team. And the work that we've put in behind the scenes, I really can't thank you guys enough for helping me actually make this a reality. I love you guys. And just putting it out there, we'll be working together again in future with the other books that are yet to come. Thank you.